Warning, listening to this show may result in increased levels of inspiration, motivation, and innovation. Side effects can include the immediate urge to take massive action to build a better business and life for yourself and others. You've been warned. Welcome to Influencers Radio with your host, Jack Mize.
And welcome back to another episode of Influencers Radio. You know, when we think about relationships with others, whether it's a spouse, a child, a friend, coworkers, we generally understand that making those relationships happy and successful requires work. They require effort, commitment, trust. They have to be nourished, right? Well, today we're going to be talking about a different kind of relationship, our relationship with money and success. My guest today is Barbara Wallick. She is a certified master NLP coach and practitioner with over 30 years of experience in the financial industry, working as a personal financial planner. Well, she helps women around the world to face their relationship with money and success and to overcome the limiting beliefs and other obstacles that create what she calls deep-rooted money blocks. So, Barbara, welcome to Influencers Radio.
Hi, Jack. Thanks very much for having me. I'm excited to be here today.
Well, you have a really interesting perspective on this. And I think, your analogy with the relationship between money and people, I think is something that's easy to resonate with, because I think a lot of people believe that the financial success that we achieve is largely determined by our skills or the value that we provide to others through our products or services. But you really put a spotlight on the psychological and the emotional variables that can have a big impact on that achievement. So I have to kick this off with asking you, how did you discover this relationship with money and the significance it can play in our success?
That's a really good question. And for me, it was very personal. You wouldn't think that somebody who'd been in the financial industry working with, millions of dollars and managing millions of dollars would have her own money blocks. But when I became an independent financial planner 9 years ago or so, I went from six-figure income to basically zero-figure income and starting my own business. And I ran into every single limiting belief and money block that you could find on, how to be successful, how to get out there and show up. And I realized that making money is more difficult than just getting up in the morning and going to the job and working a 9-to-5 job where you've got a guaranteed paycheck. And that your relationship with money plays a very important role. I had all the skills, and you mentioned that earlier. Skills are so important for sure, and you can put them to work for you. But if you can't get over your relationship with money, good, bad, indifferent, or amazing, then you're not going to be financially successful. And so I had to figure out, why am I not successful in building my business the way I visualized it? I thought it would be so easy, and it definitely wasn't. Anybody who's out there who is building a business, whether it's a network marketing business or their own brick and mortar business, will realize that there's a lot of things that can keep you up at night.
Well, I think it definitely so. And I think a lot of people experience that, especially entrepreneurs and people that are venturing out into their own business, because they don't have that I got a check coming next week. So I want to go back and I really wanted to define, can you define money blocks? What is a money block?
So basically, a money block is a negative, unconscious belief around money or around yourself that limits you from achieving your desires in life, whether that is retiring early or expanding a business or paying off debt. So things that have happened typically in your early childhood, where you've taken that information and settled it into your unconscious mind as something that you aren't good enough, or you're stupid, or You're not good with money, or money's hard, those sorts of things. And over time, we forget that we've taken that in. Yet it plays a huge role in our now, when we're working to now, and in our future success.
Well, when I think about that, and I, we've heard that worry and guilt are some of the most useless emotions. Mm-hmm. And I can imagine those are some things that may play into our relationship with money. Is that true? Would things like guilt, worry, play in? Would those be considered money blocks?
Those would be emotions that you would experience around not achieving the goals that you've set for yourself around finance or around success. That underneath the worry, underneath the guilt, underneath the fear or stress is something else. And it comes up to us. Our emotions tell us that we're either thinking, we're having contaminated thinking, or that there's something deeper that we need to look at. And in most cases, people will ignore those signals of stress, of worry, of guilt. They'll push them down rather than deal with them, and they just get bigger and uglier, really. And like our relationships, with people, our relationship with money or with finance or with success, they can be good, or they can be horrible, or they can be, I always call it like a one-night stand, right? Where we can make a ton of money and then, and have a great relationship for like 24 hours and we're totally in love. And then the next day it's gone. Or it can be that marriage that's been long-term, but it's gotten boring, so you've plateaued, you've hit that glass ceiling, and you're having a difficult time breaking through and maybe making more money or getting to the next level.
I guess self-doubt, that seems to be a big issue with people, with what stops them from doing something, from moving forward. So would self-doubt be kind of one of those big underlying money blocks?
Definitely. When you doubt your ability around making money, managing money, attracting clients, asking to be paid, all those doubts are really a decision you've made somewhere along the way that you can't trust yourself, you don't deserve it, you're not worthy, money's evil, it's, things like that.
Yeah, and that's where stems the guilt and all that, those other useless emotions, I guess.
No, exactly. I had a client who, had a hard time raising her rates because she felt that by making more money, she would have to work harder, and working harder meant that she would end up burning out and become unhealthy.
Well, I guess it would definitely qualify as a limiting belief. So I have to ask you, what can be done to overcome these limiting beliefs or these money blocks?
Well, the first thing is to become aware that you've got something that's going on that is limiting you from being financially successful and making money or investing money, growing money, paying off debt, things like that. The process that I use with people is hypnosis, timeline therapy, where we actually go through the story of, what their problem is and finding out what the problem is underneath the problem. What are the underlying limiting beliefs, the decisions they've made, typically in childhood, that are causing them to doubt their ability to be successful today. And then I use the timeline therapy or hypnosis to communicate, help the client communicate with the unconscious mind, to let that go, to learn the lessons from those events, and to help them from doing it again.
And I guess that's one of the biggest issues when it comes to overcome or making a transformation like that is recognizing those mistakes, so that when you face them again, that you don't make them again. And I think that's something that's not easy for people to recognize, or maybe they even choose to ignore them. But I guess that's probably a one part of the bigger problem of people identifying their own self-worth. And it seems like people do either one or two things. They either overestimate their self-worth or they underestimate their self-worth. Are there any, significant moments that you can describe that where people finally get it? They can identify and accept their own self-worth?
I would say that once we, when we work together and we go through the past and we look back at the relationship. So, for example, imagine being in a room as a 5-year-old little boy or a 5-year-old little girl, and you're either watching TV or you're playing a game, and your mom and dad or caretakers or in the kitchen discussing finances. And you go and you think about, well, what were they talking about? Were they happy? Were they sad? Were they arguing? Were they fighting? And how did you absorb that and own that? What messages did you get from your parents around money? And either you're going to believe it and live it, or you're going to try and prove them wrong.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. When you think about that as a child, I mean, I guess that's where people probably initially develop their association with money, associated with whether it be shame or money causes problems or lack of money causes problems. So
that's right.
That's what you help them do, is kind of identify and figure out what that root of whatever.
Exactly. Yeah, we identify what that is, and then we let it go. We go, okay, well, let me use my big one that took a lot for me to let go of, and that's why I ended up becoming a master NLP practitioner and doing hypnosis. Is that I had a limiting belief embedded in me that I had a heck of a time letting go of, and that was that I was stupid. And I didn't realize how this would really affect my life, in that I was forever trying to prove in the banking industry, to prove to my father that I wasn't stupid. So every time I got a promotion or a raise, I would phone him and say, "Hey, Dad, guess what? I just got another promotion." And I would do this every year. Like I was like working my fingers to the bone just to get promotions, to earn more money so that I could gain my dad's acceptance that I was an intelligent girl. And what I realized was that I was doing that for him, not for me. And that I had this really deep-rooted belief that I wasn't good enough and I was stupid. So I became overeducated. I worked too much. I got all these promotions, trying to fill up something in me that was empty by trying to get his approval. So I was trying to get him to fill that hollowness in me up. And when I realized that he could never do that he did think I was smart and he did love me, I needed to believe that for myself. I needed to learn how to fill that hollowness up in my own self. That's when I truly went, oh my God, I'm not stupid. I'm brilliant. Look at all I've achieved. I should be proud of my accomplishments, and the same for my clients. I have a client, just a quick example. It came to me that he was always in debt to the tune of about $30,000. He would get out of debt, and then before you know it, something would happen. He'd be back in debt. What he realized that on his grandmother's deathbed, that she used to call him poor. Oh, poor Joe, poor Joe. Obviously not his name, but he internalized that as a child, that he was poor. And that was really just a term of endearment.
Wow, it's remarkable how significant those seemingly little things can have. So let's take one that I think is probably common to a lot of people in their business, because one thing, when you're an entrepreneur, you have your own business, you automatically seem to find yourself in the role of a salesperson, which you may not have before. And a lot of people feel very uncomfortable with sales, right? Even though they believe in the value that they're providing. Why do people feel uncomfortable with sales?
No, and fair enough. I know I certainly did for a long time, especially when I was asked to do something that didn't feel in alignment with, the value that I thought I was going to bring. But for a lot of people, I see that manifests as a fear of failure or a fear of rejection.
Mm.
And that if they ask for the sale, they're going to get a no. And they're going to internalize that as, no, it's all about them. They're taking it as, personally, when in fact it shouldn't be taken personally. It's just like they say in the 4 agreements, right? Don't take anything personally.
Which is very difficult to do.
That's right. And you know what? The goal is to go out there and get as many no's as possible.
Well, I've often heard that the cure for the fear of, rejection, the no's or things like that is confidence. When you're confident in what it is that you're selling or what it is that you're doing, then that seems to temper or blunt the pain of rejection oftentimes. So what do you feel that role of confidence plays in overcoming these money blocks?
I think it's huge. When you're confident, not only in yourself, in your own worth, and that what you're offering is of value to the right client, then nothing's going to stop you. Because if you are offering your service to somebody who really needs it, and you have the ability to show them how you can improve upon their problem or solve their problem, then money and rejection is really, there's nothing to it. And really at the end of the day, if that person says no, maybe it's just no, not right now. Or you haven't been able to overcome one of their objections, which may not be money. It may be fear. It may be, it takes courage to admit that there's something that you need to fix or you need to overcome. And nobody likes to be uncomfortable. So we avoid it, and it takes courage to face it and to literally ask for help, especially in women. We don't like to ask for help.
Yeah, well, I think there's a lot of people that don't like asking for help. I guess I don't know if they feel it's a sign of weakness or, but you mentioned it takes courage. And I know that seems to be a very strong word in your message. And a lot of people look for that easy button. Mm-hmm. What's the simple way to do this? Whether it's weight loss, relationships, money, courage, people think it was a word, but it's something that's actually, very difficult to summon within us. So when you say it takes courage, what does that mean? Courage to do what? Is it that courage to ask for help? That courage to actually look at yourself, and what's really the source of your issues? Kind of define that when you say it takes courage.
Yeah, I define financial courage as, taking a stand for yourself, to allow yourself to get uncomfortable. And really, at the end of the day, getting comfortable with being uncomfortable is so important, because when we're looking at things that are limiting us or how we feel about ourselves, it's difficult. We don't like to admit that, we feel less than, or we don't feel good enough. Often, we've been programmed by society to show up with a mask on a lot of the times, that we have to be this certain way in order to be seen as successful. When in fact, nowadays, people want to see who you are, your authentic self. And that isn't always, taking a picture in front of a Lamborghini or in front of a big mansion. That's not what life is about. In my opinion, that's where my spirituality and my belief system comes in, is that, being courageous is taking a stand for what you believe in and letting go of the things that are holding you back. The unconscious mind doesn't like to be uncomfortable. Nobody likes to feel uncomfortable or to feel shame or guilt or embarrassment. So it takes courage to face those feelings, and they need to be faced in order to be released.
So I can definitely see, one, the being authentic in the true sense. I mean, that is a truly frightening prospect to a lot of people.
No kidding.
And let's say someone is ready to take that step, that they are ready to, see what it is that's holding them back, and what's, creating these emotions, and if you're willing to step back to your own story that you're talking about, when you determine your own self-worth, that you weren't stupid, that you did have value. So first step is identifying that, but what is it that actually allows you to purge those beliefs or those emotions around that?
Good question, Jack. I've spent many years trying to let go of the belief that I was stupid. And when you go through coaching, or you have a coach, and you find out where all your limitations are, and you can see them there, but then the unconscious mind's not going to let go of them, because the unconscious mind feels that it needs to hold on to it to keep you safe, which is one of its prime directives, is to keep you safe and secure, and maintain the integrity of the body. So you almost have to trick the unconscious mind to believe that holding on to that belief is not keeping you safe. And that's where the NLP and hypnosis timeline therapy comes in, is that when you let go of something on the unconscious level, it takes seconds to let it go. And the story, the emotion and the story behind it doesn't really matter.
Well, that's pretty powerful. Pretty powerful stuff.
It's very powerful.
Well, if you don't mind, I'd like to ask you some tactical questions about what it is that you do. So I definitely understand conceptually and how powerful this can be, but tactically, so what does it look like if someone says, okay, Barbara, I'm ready to do this? How long does it take, or procedurally, what is involved?
Typically what people will do is they'll hire me to do a breakthrough session. They come to me with a problem. And so we go through a list of questions where I get them to talk about the problem from many different angles. And what comes up within the sort of I guess you could call it a talk therapy type of component of the session, is that, all their limiting beliefs, all their excuses, all those things tend to bubble up. And I take note of all of that. And then what we do after that is we do what we call timeline therapy, which is where we go in and go on the timeline. Because so the unconscious mind stores all our memories, experiences, anything that we've been through in this lifetime, past lives, generational comes into it as well. And we go, and when the unconscious mind understands and knows where everything is stored, we can go back to the first time you've ever experienced, say, the emotion of anger. So what I do then is I go through the timeline and we release all the irrational negative emotions. So over time, we can build up irrational anger, which will show up as road rage. Or, somebody does something or looks at you the wrong way and you get angry and you're like, why am I getting angry? It's not a big enough thing for me to be this angry, and you can't let go of it. Same with sadness or fear. It's irrational. So we go back to the root cause on the unconscious level, on the timeline, and we let that go. And then once we've done that, then we go and we do all the limiting beliefs, which are decisions. So we go back to the timeline and we go ask the unconscious mind to go back to the root cause. The first time it's the belief that you are stupid. And so trusting that the unconscious mind knows where that is, we're able to go in, pull the positive and the lessons from that experience and let it go. And we then are able to let go of all those beliefs from that moment on to now. And it's quite surprising when I've finished with my client, when I say, well, how do you feel about the problem? Or how do you feel about the belief? They're like, I don't even know what we were working on. Or I'll say, well, how do you feel about being stupid now? And they'll go, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm brilliant. And that's how it came up for me. When I call myself, like, if I think to myself, that's stupid, or I'm stupid, the first thing I get is this kickback internally that says, no, you're not. Like, so confident, so sure. No, you're not. Whereas before I would get the contaminated thinking or the stinking thinking that would come back, to you. Oh yeah, you are. What were you thinking? Why did you do it that way? You should have done it, and all that comes up. When you clear your unconscious mind of all that junk, you don't get that same contaminated thinking. So once we've cleaned all that out, then we put goals, we set up proper goals, we put them in the timeline. I coach my clients to focus on what they want versus what they don't want. Because what you focus on expands. So if you want more money because you're broke, you're probably always going to be broke. But if you want more money so that you can expand your business, that you can retire early, and the goals are forward looking for the right reason, chances are you're always going to be able to achieve that goal.
And tell me if I'm correct here. It doesn't sound like it requires you to make a decision to change your beliefs. It sounds like it's more of a decision to examine the root of your beliefs. Mm-hmm. And so through your process and the examination of those, that does what's required to have those beliefs change. So you're not saying, I'm deciding I'm going to think this way. Just by the process and the examination, it automatically guides your beliefs into that more positive realm. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. You can tell yourself that you're brilliant or that you're, a millionaire, but unless the unconscious mind agrees with you, it's just a thought. So there's the logical part of your mind that can think anything. But if it's stored in the unconscious mind as not that, that's what's going to drive you.
Well, that's really amazing, and a great explanation, the way that you explain that, because I think a lot of people think that, they think, well, you hear about the power of positive thinking, and it's, people they think, okay, let me see if I can fool myself, right?
Exactly. You're fooling yourself, and it's a great place to start for sure. And then you can wiggle those beliefs loose. But if there's any root left, it will come back. Yeah,
that's truly amazing. So is this something that can be done virtually, or is it something that you do face to face?
Both. With the times that we're in now, most everything is virtually. So, I've been doing my sessions online. As long as the client is ready to let go, has created a space for themselves where they won't be disturbed, then, as long as I've got Zoom and I can see them, we're good to go.
We seem to be creatures that know what's bad for us, know that there's a solution, and still something prevents us from doing it. And it seems like it's often be the root of what you're talking about, either mm-hmm. fear, what will other people think? Well, what if I don't do it right? Is there some people like the DIY version, they always call it self self-help, right? Or maybe guided help. Is there a distinction between the two? The importance of it being one-on-one, with someone that's kind of holding you accountable or helping you dig versus the self-help path?
I think if you truly believe that and you're ready to let things go, I was listening to Jay Shetty's book last night. Is it The Monk Mindset, something like that? And he said, when the pain of staying the same is so great, and it's more painful to stay the same than it is to change, you're going to change.
Wow.
And so you can look and do visualizations, and there's a lot of information out there around, where did my money mindset come from? What beliefs do I have in there? And then you can start going through a series of questions and ask yourself, I remember as a child that my mom and dad would say this, money doesn't grow on trees. And, well, is it true? What if it isn't true? What if it is true? Okay, money doesn't grow on trees, but can money be a constant in my life? Do I know any other people who have money that's constant in their life? Are there other successful people in my business? If they can do it, why can't I do it? And they can start wiggling and loosening up the beliefs just by questioning them and going, was that my belief or was that my parents' belief? And it doesn't, and so they sort of ask themselves these deeper questions and they journal on it. Will help over time let go of that belief.
I could definitely see where this can also help people prevent them from passing on some of these, limiting beliefs to
to our children,
which to me is a tremendous benefit. So I have to ask, how can people find out more about Barbara Wallick and how to get involved with what it is that you're doing?
I would invite them to go to my website, barbwallick.com, or there's a booking link there. They can book a 30-minute consult with me to see, if we could work together, or if there's something really simple and easy that they want to change their perspective on, we can do a real quick, call that way. I've got a revamp or revive your financial plan for 2021. There's going to be a downloadable kit that will get them started on the mindset, on the areas of their lives where they want to improve upon, as well as some practical financial planning exercises that they can do to not only look at what money is coming in, but look at what money is going out, and can they increase their cash flow, and what comes up for them around even facing those practical exercises will also bring up things that they need to maybe work on or look at. So they can email me, barb@barbwallick.com. I'm pretty reachable.
Well, I can tell you, I think that's the one thing that really intrigues me. And I think the value that you provide, that it's not just think your way to success, school of thought, which can be powerful in itself, but the fact that you with your experience, combine that with the actual, real financial, strategies and tactical aspects of financials. Because there's a lot of people that, boy, I believe I can be successful and be rich, but then, the actual, let's manage it, because they always say that what gets measured gets managed. That you don't just have the psychological aspect of it, you also have the measurement part on like how to put this
exactly
in action to see every month what I'm doing and how I'm applying these changes. So I think that's just a tremendous advantage. I've got to say thank you so much for coming on today and sharing this information. I think it's probably opened a lot of people's eyes on, maybe why they aren't as successful as they thought they should be, or why their skills aren't getting them all the way. I think you've definitely, like I said, opened up a lot of eyes to what's holding people back. And so I appreciate you doing that and coming out and really being an advocate for these folks.
No, thanks, Jack, for having me on today. And we've barely scratched the surface, really. And it's important to live a joy-filled life and focus on what you want in life. And my mission is to really help the world heal that scarcity mindset and to really enjoy living in the moment joyfully.
Well, and I think that's so important and can change a lot of people's lives. So, folks, there you have it. Definitely check out Barb Wallick, BarbWallick.com. We'll put the links there on the show notes for this episode. And until next time on Influencers Radio, remember, you are the only real game changer.
You've been listening to Influencers Radio. To get all past shows and updates on future shows, visit influencersradio.com today.